The 6 things you must do as you begin your pro wrestling training are coming up next. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. Throughout my 30 years in professional wrestling, I have worked in front of the cameras as a pro wrestler, referee, ring announcer, and commentator too. And I have also worked behind the scenes in wrestling as a promoter, booker, agent, coach, consultant, and a ton of other things as well. And I bring the sum total of all my experience across all those decades, and I serve it up right here to you on Till We Make It. If you're down with that, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and join the Till We Make It tribe. Subscribe right now. In today's episode, I want to go over the 6 things you must do as you're starting out as a pro wrestling trainee. That way, you feel as prepared as possible to tackle day 1, and then week 1, and then month 1, and then year 1 of your pro wrestling career. Ready? Up first, you need to know that the culture around every pro wrestling training center, every wrestling school out there, is different. No two are exactly alike, and this is why you must show up early to training, because this will give you an opportunity to ask the more experienced trainees for some pointers. For example, maybe at your training center, no one is permitted to get in the ring until the coach steps inside the ropes first. That's important information, and it could save you from making a critical faux pas. Maybe at your wrestling training center, everyone stretches together and is expected to follow the lead of the senior-most trainee. That's also really valuable information, but these are the kinds of things you won't find out if you don't make it a point to ask some of the more experienced players, and you'll only have time to do that if you turn up early. And so, you must. Before we dive into this second must-do of pro wrestling training, would you take 1 second, give me 1 tap of your finger, and leave a like-a-palooza down below? Thank you for doing that. The second must-do of pro wrestling training is you must bring detailed attention to your personal hygiene at each and every class. And the reality is this is going to start before you even begin your commute into the training center. When you clamp somebody in a side headlock, you know where they are? They are right in your armpit. If you had to give me a slam at training, do you know where your right hand is going to go? Right through my groin. I need to be clean. You need to be clean. Everybody needs to be clean at wrestling training. So you must bring some attention to your personal hygiene for each and every class. It's an absolute must. Incidentally, are you training with someone right now who needs to have the hygiene talk? If so, send them this video. Share it with them, because when they reach this point, they'll realize, oh, that's me. This third one will make you seem like a real pro. Show up to training wearing the clothes you plan to train in, but don't put on your footwear yet, right? You're going to have street shoes on as you are driving, commuting, walking to practice. And we don't train in street shoes, nor do we walk around out in the parking lot in our wrestling boots or wrestling sneakers. You want to keep your wrestling footwear as clean as possible so it doesn't track any dirt or debris into the ring. That's where we all work. Just wait for class to start getting ready to begin, and then switch into your wrestling footwear and you are ready to go. This next must-do of pro wrestling training is probably the most important one on the entire list. If you are unfamiliar with the exercises or techniques being practiced, ask your coach if you can go at the end of the line. This will give you an opportunity to watch what everybody else is doing before it's your turn to go. If you want to turbocharge your wrestling career, if you want instant access to all the tools and knowledge you will need to succeed in pro wrestling, join me over on Patreon right now. There is a link to my Patreon down below in the descriptus, and the moment that you sign up, you will instantly unlock my 1,000 plus posts all about professional wrestling. This includes 262 pieces of advice for pro wrestlers at all stages of their careers, and now more than 180 Patreon exclusive videos that you'll never see here on the channel. It is a veritable treasure trove available to you right now, and memberships start for as little as $5 or whatever the equivalent is in your local currency. If you've got a credit card or you've got a PayPal account, I want to see you over on Patreon. The fifth must of pro wrestling training: you must understand that mistakes are made all the time at practice. In fact, we train, we practice, we sharpen our skills so that we don't continue to make the same mistakes over and over as we progress throughout our career. And so, not trying is not an option when you're training to be a professional wrestler. Trust that your coach isn't going to ask you to show off your shooting star press on day one of training. But if your coach is asking you to try a technique, you need to try, even if it's something you've never attempted before. You might look at the shape of a back bridge and think, I don't know if I can do that. You might see others in your class bumping face down right onto their chests in the center of the ring and think, that makes me a little bit nervous. But I want you to know that if you don't try, if you don't begin the process of learning new skills and techniques, you will never improve, you will never advance, you will never reach your goal of wrestling. The last thing you must do happens before you leave training on day one. You must discover how the group communicates. By that I mean, if updates about the training schedule are issued in a private Facebook group, then you have to make sure you get invited into that group. If your coach sends out a group text every Sunday night about the upcoming week's classes, you need to make sure the coach has your number. You must discover how the training group communicates with one another, and you need to become part of that before you get to day 2. So, where are you thinking of training? Will you tell me down below in the comments right now? If you want to do a deeper dive into what to expect during the apprentice phase of your pro wrestling career, the playlist that is appearing on screen right now is exactly what you need. Go ahead and click right on that, and I'll see you over there.